Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway. I'm excited to be here with you today. It is the fifth Thursday of the month, and we don't have a scheduled predetermined class for fifth Thursdays. So I have been taking fifth Thursdays off to be with family. But this afternoon, I wanted to record something for you, and I'm going to replay it in our regular time slot because I think it's so important to talk about this idea of stereotypes that are holding us back. So before I get into it, though, let me just make a couple of quick announcements. We will soon be doing a call for speakers for the November Building Wealth Together mini summit. It's going to be a virtual summit. We're also taking interest for an in-person summit in one of two locations. We're DFW area, or we're looking at being in Tampa between Christmas and New Year's. So that week between Christmas and New Year's. If you as a speaker are interested in participating in either one of those events, go ahead and message me, PM me, send me an email, let me and my staff know that that's something you're interested in so we can gauge where we might want to go. All right, let's get into today's topic. Today's topic is one of transparency for me because it came up yesterday in a coaching call that I had with a company that I've been with for quite some time. I used to facilitate some of their classes. And then when I became a financial coach, I kind of hung myself with them as far as referrals. And so at one point, I was making very good money in my business. And then when the pandemic, goodness, I was making such great money that my family did not feel any financial impact from me retiring from the Air Force and not going back to work. That's how awesome it was being a stay-at-home mom. But as the time has gone and as the pandemic has happened and as people have had to recover and some people haven't recovered, it has definitely taken a toll on the business. And so I sought out coaching with these particular people who have helped me establish my financial coaching business in the first place. And as I began to talk to the coach about what was going on, and actually, now that I think about it, I should put a little aside here. Let's just take a little aside. Sometimes when we've been doing things for a while and we feel like we're a little bit of a rock star in our field, sometimes we don't want to ask for help. But one thing I've heard said before, and I've come to understand is true, is a coach without a coach is a cockroach. And so there's always higher heights and deeper depths. And there's always going to be business things that we don't know. And it's important to have a network of people that we can go to either coach us, which means to help us draw out the answers that are already within us, to mentor us, which means to shorten our learning curve so that we can move forward faster, or to advocate for us, which means to open up the doors to our success. And in my world, it's okay to pay for some of that, but sometimes we are the stumbling block. We have to make sure that we're willing to go for that in the first place. Okay. And so that's what I did. I humbled myself. And after having been one of the top financial coaches, I had to say, look, I've made this move and I've been in Texas for 2 years. And I haven't made it happen the way I'm used to making it happen. So let's figure out what's going on. And I had a very similar conversation with Valerie Burton with John Maxwell team. One of the very many benefits of being connected and being active in mentorship in John Maxwell team. And my conversation with her caused me to evaluate why wasn't certain aspects of my online business growing? Well, with all the injuries and everything, I realized that I was all zoomed out, y'all. And I know I leave money on the table, but at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself and your family, right? So I'm talking to this other coach and I'm like, and she's asking me, well, do you want to, do you like doing the online things? And I'm like, I like making the money that I make with the people online, but my heart's desire is really to up level the community that I'm in, to help up level the life of women, to help impact the life of women in the community that I live. It's great. Look, I'll take your money all day long. You want to spend some money with JJ Conway? You go on out to buildingwealthtogether.com. You buy you a course. It's going to change your life. I guarantee you. And it's going to make a difference for you and it's going to move you forward. And that payment is going to help me move forward with my goals. So it's a win-win-win. It's a win for me. It's a win for you. And it's a win for whoever's life you're going to change when you buy one of my courses. So I am all about that, right? Yet at the same time, when I have my clients in Pittsburgh and I have my clients in the DC area, and I still have some clients in Louisiana, all the different bases that the military has sent me, none of those clients, other than enriching my life, which ultimately enriches is pouring into my community. It's great. And I don't want you to not buy classes if you don't live in Erath County or in the DFW Metroplex, right? Like I so want you to buy classes because I really enjoy being able to give back to my community. And I can only do that if you buy my classes, right? I love being at this stage in my life. And so I thank you. I thank you for participating in my ability to be free to travel and support people and help build up the kingdom of God and help build my community. Yet at the same time, what I'd really, really like to see, in addition to that wonderful goodness, I'd like to see my effort impact my local community. I'd like to see my efforts put food on the table of single moms who are struggling to make it in my local community. I would like to see my local efforts up level and bring families together in my local community. Why would I say that? Because I've seen it happen before when the kids come to Global Youth Initiative and they understand that they're made uniquely and that they get a new language. The language pattern to be able to interact with their parents who might be wired a little different from them. Like that really gives my heart joy. And at the end of the day, if I'm not doing work that gives my heart joy, then I could be rolling on the floor playing with my kids. I could be doing other things with my husband. I could be traveling. I could be whatever, fill in the blank. If I'm not making money, if I'm not making an impact, if I'm not changing communities, if I'm not changing lives. And so I'm explaining this to the coach. And she's like, well, have you ever really explained this to the people that you serve? And I was like, what do you mean by that? She's like, have you ever told them how angry you get that people that single moms are struggling so hard and they don't have to, and how angry and how it fires you up to do this and to see this happen and that happen and know that you have the answer? And the first thing I told her, look, if y'all are watching live, go ahead and drop it in the chat. If y'all are watching live, or you can send me a PM. What do you think was the first thing I thought when she said that? Y'all, she was giving me some good content from the last training that she had been at. And part of that was really identifying what gets you fired up about what it is that you're doing, what makes you passionate about it. But all I heard was the word angry. And I let her finish. You know how we do sometimes. As a coach, I've learned how to listen to actually listen, right? Like it took me enough decades, right? But I finally learned how to listen, not just listen so I can get my point back and answer you and make my point, right? But with that conversation, I will be honest with you as I was honest with her. I didn't hear anything after she talked about being angry because all I heard was you're presenting as angry. And I heard what she said, but in my heart, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. To come out angry. I wasn't trying to come out angry. I was trying to explain my passion. And she was like, and so I said, well, did I come across as angry to you? Because I'm a little extra sensitive to that. I'm a little extra sensitive to that. And my B1 brother here will understand that because throughout my entire military career, and I'm sure the careers of many other women out there, I have been penalized for appearing angry when I was passionate. And women have an issue in the professions and in many business settings and even academic settings and even church settings. And my goodness, even the home setting. Like, let's just make it a blanket problem that women have everywhere, right? That when you are passionate about something, it comes across as angry. And when you are passionate about something and you're moved to be aggressive about something, then instead of being considered aggressive, which would be a wonderful trait in a male capacity, now you're instead of being considered assertive, which you would be considered if you were a man, now you're being considered aggressive, and you're being considered words that I don't say on my channel because you dare to take action and right or wrong, or because you dare to care. And so add on top of that the stereotype of the angry Black woman. And as soon as she says that something about me being angry, oh, now I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I need to know what you heard that made you think I was angry, because I wasn't trying to be angry. In my mind, I was getting all excited. I was talking about changing the communities, and I was talking about up leveling the lives of single moms, and I was talking about helping change their family trees, and how when they take my classes and they learn money skills, now the kids can learn how to think strategically, and so they won't repeat the cycle of generational poverty that happened in the past. And while I can't make every I can't make everybody live in abundance. I can't make everybody abide by sound financial principles because the Bible does say the poor you will have with you always. I can at least be a conduit, a pathway for those who want to elevate their lives. And that gets me excited. Can you hear that in my voice? That gets me excited. I will do that all day long. And it doesn't matter how young you are. It doesn't matter how mature you are. It's never too early and it's never too late to win with money. And so she's like, no, 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 no. You didn't come across as angry. But why does that word trigger you? And I was like, because so many people shut down on women of color, specifically Black women, if we express anything remotely resembling anger. And because of that, my research has shown, my research for my doctoral work that I'm doing right my field study. I'm so excited about that. But my research has shown that, especially for Black women, this stereotype of the angry Black women not only demotivates us for standing up for righteousness, standing up for ourselves when people have wronged us, standing up for our God-given rights, standing up for our children's God-given rights, standing up for our unit's God-given rights. You know, even in the military, we become leaders. We're a flight commander. We're a group commander. We're a squadron commander, and we know we should do the right thing, but we got to go along to get along. We know we should do the right thing, but we're too worried about speaking out because if they label us as the angry Black woman, now the rest of our career comes crashing down. Well, you've seen enough people what it has. I was one of those people. And I'm not regretting any of the things that I did or said, but I took a stand against righteousness, and I was labeled defiant and oppositional. And they used that combined with the car accident to end my military career. All right. So is it a very real problem? Sure it is. I'm just the kind of person that I gotta sleep well at night, right? So I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna do what the Lord told me to say. And sometimes the Lord tells me to say stuff that other people don't want to say. But a lot of us, we don't want to be that person. And I'm not saying you should, because that's another thing I had to learn not to do, was I had to learn not to always be the person that speaks up for everybody who doesn't want to speak up for themselves. Like, that is not my responsibility to bear everybody's load. At some point, people got to stand up on their own 2 feet and advocate for themselves. Okay. So this young lady who is coaching me, and she's been with that company for a long time. She's really good at what she does. She doesn't know all of that. That's not her life experience. And now I feel like I'm getting angry. Like, how do you not get this? How do you not get this? How surely and I'm like, whoa, 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 back it up, truck up. All right. So I'm sitting there like, okay, we need to do this. And she says, you really need to evaluate why this word anger stops you in your track. You like to say fired up a lot. You know, you can say fired up, but you need people to understand what the wrongs are that are being righted by the work that you do. And in my opinion, it's a shame that women culturally have been for centuries. It's been implied that women can't handle money, that women aren't capable of managing money, building wealth, dumping debt, aren't capable of leaving a legacy and being philanthropic, almost to the point where it has to almost be an act of rebellion for a woman to say, you know what, I'm going to do something. I'm going to build something. I'm going to have something. I mean, we parade that Proverbs 31 woman around and dangle that woman in front like, you need to be a virtuous woman. You know, who can, a virtuous woman, her value is worth more than rubies. But you just want the cooking and cleaning and take care of the household woman. You don't want the rest of what the Proverb 31 woman did. She had multiple businesses. She bought and sold land. I mean, come on. She was moving and shaking and making it happen. And she wasn't in competition with her husband. She was in collaboration with her husband. They were on one page, and it worked well together. Yet our cultural background, especially for women 30s, 40s and up, has been that that's the man's domain. Okay. And so I feel like that's a wrong, and I'm part of the solution. And so when this coach challenged me on that, I said, okay, well, I don't know how to be passionate without appearing angry. That's something I got to work on. Yep, that's something I got to work on because I really don't know. I don't know how to get all excited about something without being angry or without appearing angry. And I think the Lord has made me a lot better than I used to be. And I appreciate the vote of confidence. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the vote of confidence. However, when it comes to business, it's so important for people to understand why you care. Because too many people are out there, they just want to make money. Like I laugh. I laugh inside. Like I'm encouraging outside, but I laugh inside when somebody says they want to speak on my platform, they want to be on my podcast, they want to come on my YouTube channel, they want to speak at my conference. And when I ask them why are they doing what they want to do, they're like, well, because it looks like it's easy money. I want to get paid to talk to people all day. I want to get paid. There's millions and billions of dollars being made in the personal growth industry, and I want some of that. And I'm like, okay, there's plenty of other stages that you can go be on. But the people who are in my tribe and the people who speak to my tribe, we're about something. We're changing the world. We're people of value, adding value. We are people of impact, making an impact. And that's important for people to understand why we care. It's what separates you and your business from all the other charlatans out there who are just trying to make a fast buck. And so I really, really loved that. I really, really loved how she brought that out, and I applaud her for doing so. I applaud her for doing so. And like I said, I could very easily tap into my own self where that angry Black woman stereotype caused me a bit of a when she talked about sharing your passion, sharing what makes you angry in this world and what you're doing to make it right. Okay. But there are other stereotypes that affect people. And so let me just talk a little bit about some of the stereotypes that we've seen. And I'm not sure who this is because they got to give StreamYard permission to see their profile. But I appreciate the vote of confidence. They must be somebody from my church. I'm like, I'm certainly a work in progress. That's for sure. I'm a work in progress. And maybe the Lord took a little longer with me than some others. But, we all have our ups and downs and we all have our things. I'll tell you one thing I don't struggle with is I don't struggle with sin. Oh, hey, lady. I'm so happy that you're on today. So let's talk about some of these stereotypes that hold us back. I've given you one that's really been instrumental for me, and that is the angry Black woman. And when I sat there and surveyed and just did my own internal survey, that stereotype had in my life, I think about all the times that I didn't advocate that I could have advocated for myself. I think about all the other women who didn't go advocate for their health care or didn't go advocate for their kid. Now, that's one thing I will do is I'll sacrifice myself to advocate for my kids so they never had that impact. But how many times did I not go to the doctor because I didn't want them to write me off as being an overweight, fat, sloppy, lazy Black woman? How many times did we not do something because of the stereotypes that people think of us? Or even if we didn't not do something, how many times did we overdo something else because of the stereotypes? Like sometimes I think my husband gets really frustrated. Now he would never tell me that because he's such a very kind and gentle soul. But I'm sure there are times when he gets really frustrated with my forcing the kids or him or all of us to do or not do a thing because I don't want to contribute to the stereotypes about Black people. And to his defense, being a 6'4" white guy, those aren't things that he has to worry about. Nobody judges his entire race by whether or not he throws trash on the ground. Right? Like nobody judges his entire race by whether or not he shows up a couple minutes late. Nobody judges his entire race by whether or not his children eat with the proper utensils and eat properly and chew with their mouth closed. Nobody's judging his race. Now they might judge him. They might judge if he had a white wife, they might judge her if her kids were eating sloppy, but they're not judging the whole white race. Whereas many women of color, especially Black women, and I'm not as familiar with beige and brown women, but especially Black women have this issue where when we make a mistake, it reinforces stereotypes. And so then not only do we not do the things and stand up for what's right, but sometimes we overdo other things in order to make sure we're giving off an appearance of excellence. Now, what did Lieutenant Colonel Herb Carter, original Tuskegee Airman, say? He said, excellence in performance is the antidote to racism. He gave me that quote when I was a captain in the Air Force and I hosted him at Air University in my role as chief of the CAG, which included protocol for all of the visitors that spoke at Squadron Officer School. He gave me that quote, and it's been in my heart ever since. And it's on the plaque that I gave my son when I retired from the Air Force. Yet sometimes those who aren't having to walk according to that standard of excellence may not understand the weight that that puts upon us. And those of us who are trying to be twice as good to get half as far, those of us who are trying to play in a system that appears to be, whether or not it actually is in your environment, but appears to be unfair, we don't even realize the weight of that that's on our shoulders. And I personally didn't even realize the weight of that until I'm sitting in this coaching call, and the coach is giving me the formula that works for her and hundreds of other coaches who work with this program. And I'm like, no angry black woman right here. Nope. We're not getting angry about nothing. But if we don't allow ourselves to feel the feels, sometimes we come across as in lack of genuineness. We come across as a lack of integrity. We come across as if we don't care, which then puts us in the category of coming across as the people who are just out to get a dollar out of your pocket and don't really care about you. And anybody who's been with me for any amount of time, you know that JJ Conway cares about you. Even if I don't like you, I care about you and I want you to succeed. And I will pray for you and I will help teach you what you need to learn. But let's look at some of the other stereotypes that I found. I was really, really surprised. I was really, really surprised when I sat down with a former supervisor because she had moved on, but we had butted heads while she was there. And I thought she might could give me some insight into what I was doing wrong. And she's like, wow, you're really reflective. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like a compliment, but I needed to know. And people don't ever tell you, like nobody ever pulls you in a room and says, hey, if you would just stand up from your desk more. Like nobody ever just pulls you aside and says, hey, maybe if you would just tone down this or tone down that, or maybe if you would build up your people instead of this. Nobody ever gives you that kind of feedback. They just judge you silently. And it's really, really funny. Like we live in a society that's so inconsistent in what we say and do, that if a woman comes up to me and gives me a compliment on my eyebrows, what's the first thing that I do? I run to the bathroom to make sure they're okay. Because 9 times out of 10, actually, I'm going to say 99 times out of 100, my eyebrows aren't looking that good. She's making fun of me behind my back, or she's trying to give me a subtle clue. Right. And so we have, what's that whole thing about the sandwich principle? Like I had to learn how to do the sandwich principle, which is tell them something nice, give them the correction, and then tell them something nice, right? I hate the sandwich approach because I already know I'm good. I don't need to know about the areas I'm good. You're just pretending that you worked hard to find 2 things that I'm good in so you could slide in the stuff that I'm not good in. And you wasted 20 minutes of my time trying to fluff me up, so I'll accept it. Just give it to me. Let's get it done and let's move on. Now, that's my personality. That is not everybody else's personality. So don't you treat your people like that, because if you do, you'll probably get fired. All right. But this supervisor that I was speaking to, who was over my unit when I was learning all of this and growing as a leader, as a division chief, and then later the deputy director of the research support office. I'm sitting down with her like, I'm this new deputy and I'm responsible for this and this and that and that. And clearly I don't understand what I did wrong. And she's like, well, some of it is stereotypes. She said, unfortunately, you're Black. I'm Asian. When I walk in the room, people automatically assume I'm smart. I was like, that doesn't help me. She's like, well, unfortunately, I don't have much to help you with. I was like, she's like, I'm sure she probably could have given me more. She was an 06 in the Air Force at the time. I don't know if she put on a star since or not. I lost track of her, and I probably could look, but I really don't care right now. But she was like, yeah, people, if you've got an advantage, take the advantage you have. I have the advantage that I walk in a room, people automatically assume I'm smart because I'm Asian, and they think I must know something because I got birds on my shoulders. She's like, you're Black. You're going to have to work harder to overcome all the negative things about being Black. And for those of you who don't know my story, when I was at the Air Force Academy, I was told to my face I could not declare my major as physics because in their mind, Blacks can't do physics. Now, what I didn't know then, I only found out in the last year or so when I'm doing my doctoral work, is that in 1991, there was a report that came out from the Department of Defense that literally said Blacks could not do leadership things. They could not do heavy technical things. They didn't have to engage in fighter stuff, like extreme commands and certain things, and Black people were doing some of those things at this time. But this report came out It was a Department of Defense report, came out in 1991, I think, or maybe it was 89, but it was while I was it was while I was in high school. Okay, so that it wasn't ancient history. Well, okay, wait a second, I'm probably older than I look, but it wasn't so far removed from me being told blacks can't do physics, because it was like physically, emotionally, intelligently, these people are incapable of doing these things. That was a report that came out, and that's the atmosphere in which I came into the Air Force, right? And so, we have to understand that colors, even if I didn't know that at the time, when the guy told me you can't declare physics because you're black, I mean, I did anyway. So I was like, I don't know why he said that, because obviously I did it. Graduated, number 5 in the whole class, number 1 space physics grad, president of the Physics and Astronomy Club. I mean, who are you telling can't do physics? Went on to do physics for 23 years in the Air Force. Were there smarter scientists? Sure, there were, but I was in charge of the money, y'all. So, hey, I'm not upset at all. But in fact, funny story. Uh, I'll tell you why it's funny in a second. But one of my colleagues one time said to me, "I'm a way better physicist than you are." I was like, "You are a way better physicist than me, but people like me." And that guy must have learned the lesson, because he went on to be the military aide to the chief scientist of the Air Force. So kudos to him, right? Uh, but when this boss sat down and told me that, I spent an entire military career just assuming that the Asian women who were in the Air Force had it made. It wasn't until later in my research and in my career that I discovered that Asians suffer from similar stereotypes, especially women suffer from similar stereotypes as Black women, because the stereotypes that tend to bubble up about Asian women is hardworking, very intelligent, but poor communication and poor leadership skills. Well, how would you like to be a leader in the military and all the people around you think that, yeah, you're a hard worker, let's put you on some hard work, but you ain't never going to be a leader, right? I didn't get put into the stereotypes of hard worker. I got put into the stereotype that's lazy and loafing. At least she was a step up, right? And so then I found out that we have similar stereotypes against brown people. And so, whether it's Native American or all these other colors, this wide spectrum of colors, there are so many associations and there's so many stereotypes that could hold us back. I'm going to challenge you today. I'm going to challenge 2 groups of people today. I actually meant to say something about this in the beginning. So if you are not a person of color and you're still watching, kudos to you. Thank you for watching, because I meant to welcome you into this discussion and I forgot to do it because I was so worried about hurrying up and getting on the road for football, for my son's football game. But if you are not a minority, okay, so I know that the majority is quickly becoming the minority, but if you are the traditional white guy, white gal, I would encourage you to take stock of some of the things that I've talked about. Do some Google research on stereotypes of Black, brown, beige women, and really kind of look at what obstacles might be hindering them in the workplace. So, for example, I've talked extensively about angry Black women. If you have somebody who's a subordinate who happens to be melanated more than you, perhaps you can let them know that it is okay for them to express their opinions and that they're not going to be perceived negatively for being passionate about their work. And maybe you don't use those exact words. Maybe you do. Maybe you're direct like I am, but maybe you don't use those exact words, but you make it safe for people to express their opinions. You make it safe for people to bring forth their ideas. You make it safe for people to identify when something's not right. That's the only way your company is going to grow. It's the only way you as a leader are going to grow. All right. Maybe if you are a person who faces some of these stereotypes, I encourage you to take stock of which ones are impeding you and how they might be preventing you from taking the next step to move forward in your life, in your ministry, in your business, in your family, in all of it. Because sometimes these things hang over our heads and we don't even realize it. And if today I've said something that really sparks movement in you, that really sparks a discussion point in you, I encourage you to get with me, and I encourage you to connect with me as far as subscribing to my my list, because then you get the opportunity to book quick chats with me. Okay, let me say that again, because I feel like I just stumbled all over that. Okay, and I just also realized this whole time you haven't had my banner. I put the link in the banner. I did that so I wouldn't forget to tell you about it, right? But then I forgot to show the banner back. All right. So what I was saying is, If what I've said today has sparked something in you that tells you you need to take action, whether you're somebody who understands firsthand what I'm talking about and you've got to evaluate the impact of these stereotypes on yourself, or whether you are somebody who's never really had to be worried about these kinds of stereotypes before and you want to understand more, I want to encourage you to connect with me in one of two ways. First, I encourage you to get on my mailing list, which you can do at buildingwealthtogether.com. It's also jjclink.com/list. But if these stereotypes are impacting you, I encourage you to jump into the self-image rising class. Now, we are not going to launch the live class until the beginning of the year. Those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that's when we normally do it, is at the beginning of the year, right? But you can launch into the pre-existing class right now. You can get the lessons delivered to your box as well as this reflective guide. Okay, now the version you get is electronic. If you want the print copy, you can go to Amazon and order it, but you'll get this guide and you'll be able to really work through some of these things, some of these lessons, some of these stereotypes, and how they affect you, just like I'm working through another level of how they affected me. When I produced this book, I was struggling to overcome the stereotypes and feeling like I was useless and left over and a waste after that car accident that really damaged my neck, my back, and my cognition. There's nothing worse than feeling like a vegetable and feeling like you're set out to pasture. That's how I felt when my mentors poured these lessons into me. And that's why I was so passionate about bringing this content to you so that you could grow just like I grew. But little did I know that every time you go up higher, there's another battle to fight. There's another layer of the onion that needs to be peeled. There's another process that needs to happen to move forward. Okay. And so if this speaks to you, I encourage you to go out to jjclink.com/SIR and get your class. Okay. The discount link for today is going to be, I've turned on my Steelers gift code. If you use the Steelers code, it will work for a very nice discount from now until I get back from my son's football game and turn it off. Okay. So go ahead and go out there now to jjclink.com/self-image rising. /SIR, which stands for self-image rising. That's all I have for you all today. This will be rebroadcast at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, even though it is Fifth Thursday. Oh, yeah. And even though it's a Fifth Thursday and we don't have a scheduled class for Fifth Thursdays, I've been taking that once a quarter as family night. And so, but I felt so strongly about this content, I knew somebody else needed to hear it. If you needed to hear it, drop it in the chat, encourage me, and let me know that my life's work is making a difference in your life. I'm JJ Conway. That's all I got for you today. Y'all take care and be blessed.